bit of knowledge is following on from the one I've done about the band, right? The band, see, is the barn, right? The barn. So you've got ideas of the barn, which is like the Kerem Holy War, right? Which is known as the barn. And you have other ideas like King Ban. King Ban was supposedly a king that lived in all this. And you have the sort of ban, right? So it's a worldwide ban on being on naturals being part of the society, right? It's a worldwide ban, right? And it's enforced by Masonic jurisdictions, right? All over the world and that, right? So they've got this sort of network in place, right? And then the sort of attribute, like a lot of naturals, right, find themselves in the crops type of thing, right? In terms of life situations and all that, right? And this is where the sort of, they bring the Jesus type idea into it, right? Which is enforced by Masonic agents and that, like this sort of, so they attribute the sort of bad luck of their own circumstances, right, to like a supernatural God, right? So it's like, oh, it's bad luck. It's either bad luck or it's like, a curse by God, something like that. That you're in the sort of sewage type of thing in your life situation, right? So the sort of supernatural idea, right? Which is again, it's the same as superstition, superstitiousness, and they're supernatural. You see what I'm saying? But it's, as we can see, right, this bad luck and this curse type of thing is very much the work of man's hands, or women's hands, like, you know what I mean, as opposed to the work of some type of supernatural God. See, and this is where they create this idea of a supernatural God, right? And obviously the only type of ideas of a God there is basically the sun in the day and the moon at night. That's like the whole idea of it, really. So obviously from that stems all your things like the Queen of Heaven, which would be the either the sun or the moon, depending on which way you look at it, type of thing. You see what I'm saying? And all that type of stuff, right? And again, right, this ties in with neurosis, right? Neurosis, like neurosis, like new romantic. It's like new romantic idea. You see, the romantic idea, the romance, which is the fantasy and the spellcraft and all that, right? So neurosis, right? So cis is cisgenders and that. So the neurosis is targeted at like cisgender. See, so you got your neurosis and your superstition basically is the same thing, right? And this sort of ties in with the current situation where it's like this thing about germs, germs, bacteria's hand washing, all this type of thing, There's a thing in medical conditions called OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders, right? Where people are constantly washing their hands and that to get rid of like imaginary germs and that. You see what I'm saying? So you see that being encouraged through this latest what do you call it, coronavirus and that, right? They're encouraging that type of neurosis, which sort of doubles back to the superstitious ideas, right, of the supernatural God. See, and as I've done that previous one, it's like this people blame the sort of bad luck and the sort of circumstances on this idea of the evil of this world, or the sort of the God of this world has cursed them. So then they tie straight in with the Jesus thing. See, like I'm in the crop, so I'm going to side with Jesus because that's the sort of he endured the suffering, so I'll have to do the same. See what I mean? So it all ties together. But it's very much the work of people, physical people, as opposed to a supernatural God. See, this is the idea that they've created. You know what I mean? It's pure hex. See, pure hex all the way.